Welcome in to the Mile High Hoops podcast. He is Anilo Piro. I am Jake Shapiro. And we're talking after Jamal Murray flurried for 52 points. Anilo, it was cold outside. I was shoveling at halftime. I come back in and I'm like, isn't it apropos that Denver's first snow comes when Jamal Murray decides to be that cold?
Yeah, he matched the temperature of the Denver metro area yesterday. I was stuck in traffic for like an hour and change after Broncos practice yesterday. I woke up this morning, slipping and sliding all over the place, just trying to get to my car. And thankfully, we have Jamal Murray to kind of bring us home and make us feel good about this winter weather out there here in the Mile High City with his 52-point performance last night against Indiana. And I mean, you and I were talking about it a little bit before the show. We're obviously this is the Jamal show for us here today on the Mile High Hoops podcast. I mean, injuries aside, we know Gordon's out. We know Christian Brown is out. Spencer Jones might be out for a minute here as well, potentially. But you got to love the tenacity and the strength that Jamal Murray is playing with out of the gate this season.
Yeah, he's averaging 24 points per game after last night. Actually, 24.7 points per game, so almost 25 points per game. That's 20th in the NBA right now. I don't think people realize how good of a season Jamal Murray is having. Forget start. Jamal's never averaged more than 21.5 points per game in his NBA career, which came last year. So this is boop, 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 way up. He is shooting 45% from three. He's shooting 7 threes a game, which is way more than his usual. He's taking one more shot per game across the board as well, in doing so at a field goal percent of over 50. He right now is a 40, 50, 89 shooter. He is so close to being a 40, 50, 90 guy so far early on. He has been phenomenal for the Nuggets. And it's this type of Jamal Murray that I think we all know is inside of Jamal Murray, which is why some people get frustrated with Jamal at times, because we've seen it in the playoffs. We've seen it for extended stretches, and then it kind of just disappears at times. But this is the Jamal Murray I always remember and I always think of. And I say, hey, guys, let's not be so hard on Jamal, because this guy exists within Jamal, and he is one of the best players in the NBA.
No, I mean, the consistency is there, at least so far to start the season. And I think that's all Nuggets fans have ever wanted from Jamal Murray, right? The conversation of like, why can't playoff Jamal just be regular Jamal throughout the course of the regular season, right? And you're seeing that so far to start this year. And I'm not sure what the difference is. Like, I don't know if it's no Michael Malone, new head coach. He needs to kind of prove himself a little bit, or there's something in the psyche with that, with him and Malone being extra comfortable with each other. I don't know if it's the, will and desire of wanting to make sure that Nikola Jokic, recognizing you're playing with an all-time great, and that if you do your part, you can help get him and yourself another championship. He got his contract, so it's not like there's a looming contract extension that he's, going out there and playing for necessarily. Obviously, he'll potentially have another one once this current deal expires, but I think at the end of the day, for whatever the reason, a flip is switched with Jamal Murray. I mean, he came into this season in shape, athletically ready, hunting for shots, scoring shots, shooting threes, as you mentioned, with his upshot production as a whole. And because of it, it's been a great thing for this Denver Nuggets team. And hopefully that continues to trend. They're going to need it to continue, especially with Gordon and Christian Brown out. But everything you've seen from Jamal Murray this season is everything that Nuggets Nation has wanted to see for the last handful of years. And that's a kudos to him.
Yeah, and let's be honest, they were playing a really just bad Pacers team without Tyrese Halliburton. They're 4-18 on the year. I think it's pretty clear that they're trying to tank for another star to put next to Tyrese Halliburton at a cost control level, because they just don't spend a lot of money. They let, a significant portion of that finals team from last year and Miles Turner walk in free agency. And, they're not trying to run it back. So Jamal Murray comes back with what was a 52-point game on 70 or 95% true shooting. It was just the 6th time in NBA history that a player's had a 50-point game on 95% or better true shooting. The best game of all time was Aaron Gordon on opening night, of course. Jamal Murray is responsible for number 4 on that list, that game in Cleveland, where he's the only 50-point scorer in the history of the NBA where he didn't have any free throws. And the Nuggets now, because of Aaron Gordon, Jamal Murray, and Nikola Jokic against the Clippers, are the 3rd team in NBA history with a trio of 50-point scorers in the same season. And that's happened, a quarter way into the season. So it goes to show you the firepower of this team and how good they can be, as well as the talent and the offensive output of the league right now, that, the depth is there. So, but yeah, on Jamal, not to get super sentimental and emotional, but I kind of look at things like that because I'm a sports writer. My job is to tell stories and capture the fan base. And fortunately for me, one of the only teams I cover the only team I really cover every day that I'm a fan of is the Nuggets. And I can tell you, as someone who has watched this both from a fan perspective, from a media perspective, who's been around Jamal, who's cheered for Jamal, all these different things, there are so many different moments in Jamal Murray's career, whether you're like snowed in and you can't do anything, or you're stuck in COVID and you can't see anyone and you're isolated, or, you're hanging with your buddies. There's just like so many games I remember from Jamal Murray. And, you've got a Laker fan in your life, unfortunately, by force or somehow, like, brother-in-law or something.
Terrible.
It's brutal. And, they talk smack and you're just like, it's all right. Jamal's got us. Like, Jamal's got us. And he does. He always does. He always comes through. And that's like, the thing I'll remember is, when you have a franchise icon, and one just retired in Danilo Gallinari, I'm not going to go as far as George Karl and say he deserves to have his jersey number retired, but Danilo Gallinari holds a special place in my heart and probably the entire fan base's heart. Jamal Murray's on a different level. He's up there with Nikola Jokic, Alex David,
he's in that one tier, right? I think Gallo's in that second tier, with some of those heartfelt nuggets, right? But like totally. Jamal's an all-time great for this organization.
Yeah, and when we're talking Alex David, Nikola, Jamal, Dikembe, and Dikembe is even kind of fringe just because he didn't play that long in Denver. And obviously you've got Fat and Dan Issel. Like, these guys create so many memories that they attach with the fan base. And watching last night, and you're seeing a memory being created in live time, and you see the blue arrow get broken out for the first time since the championship celebration in full. Like, that stuff is the things I will remember about Jamal, not what he did against the Dallas Mavericks on a Monday night. But part of this story to me is what happened against the Dallas Mavericks on a Monday night, which is he had an ankle injury and we thought he might be done for a month. And he comes into this game and we're like, is he really going to play? How's he going to look? And he looked awesome. Like, forget just shot making. He was moving every which way. The Pacers could not guard him. They couldn't even hold a guy to him. And it wasn't just because the shot making was so hot. He was really moving. So the toughness, the big shot making, the special shot making, as well as the tandem pairing with Nikola Jokic are just the things to me that I say, that's what makes a franchise legend right there. He is who I'm starting at guard if I'm starting my Denver Nuggets starting lineup. And he, number 27, for him, deserves to be up in the rafters one day at Ball Arena, because yet again, another special moment last night was created by Jamal Murray.
Yeah, I think simply put, he's just a big-time player in big moments, right? And you mentioned it, time and time again, when the Nuggets have needed a bucket or the Nuggets have needed that or a heroic performance, the Robin to Jokic's Batman. I mean, Jamal Murray has answered that call time and time again, and he reminded you last night of just how effective of a player he could be. And look, I'm happy for Jamal. I'm happy for the Nugget fan out there because, it was kind of a bad taste in everybody's mouth after the 4-game home game losing streak kind of continued. And to your point with Jamal with the ankle injury Monday night against Dallas, I'm holding my breath. And, I'm texting with some people and I'm like, I don't know if you and I both picked the Nuggets to win this NBA championship. And I still think they're going to do that. But I'm sitting here, I'm saying, okay, no Aaron Gordon, no Christian Brown. If you lose Jamal Murray, I understand you've still got the big fella out there, but I'm like, what is going to happen with this team? What is going to happen over the next month or so with the injuries? How are those going to pile up with wins and losses and whatnot? And so I think that's the thing is, like, let's live in the moment with last night and acknowledge everything you're talking about with the 50-plus point performance and solidifying himself as an all-time great Denver Nugget, but also let's exhale a little bit about, what the next week, 2 or 3 week sample size looks like for this team. Because to your point, I'm worried about what Jamal looks like in that game last night. He proves me wrong. He proves you wrong. And away we go. Jamal Murray's A-okay. And that's a great thing for this Denver Nuggets team.
A couple things on the road game win. It's the most road games the Nuggets won in a row, 8. While they've had a bad home streak, no doubt, the worst of Nikola Jokic's era, but not the worst in franchise history. So they've done something on the road that's they've never done before. And I thought Michael Malone for a long, long time just had the best mentality for coaching this team and how tough this team was. And Jamal Murray kind of mirrored that. Like, just they were going to get their job done. And it was going to You trusted them even more when their back was against the wall, quite honestly. And that's one of the things I loved about Coach Malone. And that's one of my questions about David Adelman is what kind of mentality would he instill in this team? And to start the season with, I know it hasn't been the exact start of the season, but to start the season very early on now with 8 straight wins on the road, I think to me that speaks even more than the home losing streak. It is so impressive that they've gone into other teams' barns, whether they're good teams, bad teams, or whatever, and just gone in there and won. Last year, this team lost to the Washington Wizards in Elo in November.
Twice.
And it was panic o'clock, and it should have been. This year, they're playing a really sorry Pacers team, and they basically blew them out. It got close a little bit there at the end, but they basically blew them out. And to me, that's really impressive because last year, the Nuggets struggled to blow teams out, and they struggled on the road. And they're finding ways. Sure, they need to take care of business at home. I'm in agreement with everyone. But I think David Adelman made a really salient point after the game last night when he talked about, everyone says, oh, we got to win at home. We have an altitude advantage, yada, yada, yada. We haven't really had an altitude advantage. We're 1 in, 1 out. We're like everybody else. And it's something I thought of and said, you know what? That's true. You know what? The Nuggets don't really have the home court advantage that they're used to right now because they're 1 in, 1 out. And down the road, they don't have quite the disadvantage that they're used to of just not being at altitude, which is something we've seen with the Colorado Rockies for a while. And you're saying, Jake, well, they still have more lung capacity, blah, blah, blah. There's all sorts of weird quirks that come with the air density being different as studied by people in Major League Baseball. So I think that the weird schedule is kind of played into both of these marks is the short of the long of what I'm saying. But I do think it's really impressive from a resilience standpoint that this team was able to accomplish that mark of 8 straight on the road.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's definitely impressive, and I agree with you. I think you'd rather be better on the road than at home because you expect them to eventually figure it out at home, right? Like, you don't want to just lose every single home game. That's not what I'm trying to say, but I think this 4-game home losing streak is more of an anomaly than the norm with this Denver Nuggets team. Like, I don't think this trend will continue.
And 2 things. One, you're going to have to beat Oklahoma City on the road.
Good point.
This year in the playoffs. You're just
real quick, they might beat the Warriors record. Like, I know that we were talking about Oklahoma City this, Oklahoma City that before the year, dude. They got to go like 53-9 or 53-8 or something like that the rest of the way to beat the record. Seems actually possible with this team, dude.
So shout out our guy Joey on the nosebleeds in the morning, but I got to tell you, he was dead wrong. And I watched the clip again just to take it in, and I reacted at the time like he was dead wrong. But he was talking about MVP stuff yesterday, and we all love Nikola Jokic, and everyone listening to this podcast probably thinks he's the MVP. But I hate to break it to y'all. We're all talking about the Denver Nuggets winning the championship this year, maybe setting a franchise win mark this year, right? Franchise win mark would be 58. There's a real chance, AP, that the Oklahoma City Thunder goes 78-4. That's 20 wins better than the Denver Nuggets, and SGA would be averaging 32 points per game. There's not even a conversation of who wins the MVP if that happens with the Oklahoma City Thunder. I don't necessarily agree with it. I'm just telling you what would happen. And I hate it because I see what Jokic is doing, and I see what the Thunder are able to spawn in a guy like AJ Mitchell, and they didn't even have Jalen Williams and like all of that. But I'm just telling you what's going to happen. But you need to win on the road this year. You're going to need to win on the road because of that horse in Oklahoma. And secondarily, if you go back into recent playoff history with the Denver Nuggets, it's actually not been on the road. It's been at home where they've struggled, right? They lose a home game 7 against Minnesota, and they were horrible at home in that series. They lost game 2 in the finals against the Heat at home. They, blew a game against the Clippers at home. They blew a game in game 5 against the Thunder at home. Like, it's been at home. So you say you think they're going to figure it out, and I'm with you. I do believe they're going to figure it out at home, but it's been home court issues for the Nuggets now for like a minute.
No, that's a very valid point. And, the more that I think about it, like, obviously my brain is still stained with that image of them losing to Minnesota a few years ago in the playoffs. I mean, just a completely horrendous performance there. And I think
the more we get away from that one, the more it hurts.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. So no, it's going to be interesting. And again, I think you live in the moment with this Jamal game. I want to see them figure some stuff out at home. I agree with what David Adelman said last night after the game that the scheduling has just been beyond brutal for this Denver Nuggets team. Now, look, I'm not trying to make excuse after excuse, but again, I don't think they're going to extend. They're not losing double-digit games in a row at home. I'll put it that way, right? I think they're going to snip this in the butt sooner rather than later, and away we go with this Nuggets team. But I think, last night, the win, Jamal, the performance, everything about it provides a big exhale moment for Nuggets Nation, because again, the emotions after that loss on Monday night with the Jamal potential injury, knowing Gordon is out and knowing Brown's out as well, like your mind kind of starts to go to some weird places with respect to like, is this season about to go off the rails? And I think Jamal Murray did a really good job of making sure that this season is still very much on the rails for this Denver Nuggets team.
So right now into Jamal Murray's season, we are 20 games in. He is 20th in the league in points per game at 24.7. He is 13th in the NBA in assists per game at 6.6. He is 10th in three-point shooting percentage at 45%. He is one of the top field goal scorers, of course, and field goal attempts guys per game. He's like leading the league. He's up near the league lead in free throw percentage. He is littering the top 20 leaderboards on Basketball Reference right now in all sorts of great statistics. And people are going to go, well, that's going to make him an all-star. I don't disagree with you that the all-star game chance is better this year than it's been in the past. But there's been a significant change to the all-star game this year, which no one seems to be talking about. There's going to be 2 American teams and an international team playing in a best of 3 or a best round robin type deal. Okay. Those 2 American teams will have 8 players each, and the international team will have 8 players each. Okay. That sounds fair. So Anilo, let's just say the starting lineup for the international team is Giannis Antetokounmpo, Nikola Jokic, Victor Wembanyama, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and Luka Doncic. I think that's a fair starting 5 for the international team, right?
Yeah, I would say so. That's just like disgusting, all that firepower, but yeah.
It's absurd. It's an absurd team, but that's probably the starting 5. That means there's 3 spots left for international players. And I'm getting this off of a Reddit post from the NBA Reddit page that kind of just discovered this and was like, wait, this is going to be really hard for the world guys to make the international team. And this isn't even counting the fact that Joel Embiid, Paolo Banchero, and Bam Adebayo could technically qualify for the world team because they've played for Team USA in the past. But for this spot, these 3 spots, which are going to be, according to the NBA, it still is decided by conference, but I don't really understand how it's going to be decided by conference, then split into international. So we're just assuming that there's probably 3 spots left over. Maybe we're lucky and there's a 4th. For those spots, you have former All-Stars, Alpi Sengun, who's having a hell of a year for that spot. Lauri Markkanen, who's having a very good year, but I don't know, not on the best team. Pascal Siakam, who we saw last night. Pacers are kind of lost in the wind. He's the leading scorer on the team. He's been good. Domantas Sabonis having a tough year, former All-Star. Karl Anthony Towns on one of the teams that's expected to come out of the East. So already,
international?
Karl Anthony Towns is from not Puerto Rico.
I didn't know that.
Dominica, I think.
I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah. He has an accent too. Subtle,
that makes a lot of sense now.
Yeah. So you've got those guys. Already, we're having a tough conversation about how Jamal's going to fit in with those guys, right? And then you've got this list of guys having very good seasons. Shaedon Sharpe, Franz Wagner, Dylan Brooks, Denny Avia, who should 100% be an all-star, Josh Giddey, and now Jamal Murray. How is Jamal Murray going to be an all-star?
Yeah, it's tough, dude. It's like the never-ending question, right? Of like, who will be the first all-star teammate in the same season with Nikola Jokic, right? And this is the strongest case Jamal Murray will ever have. He can't get hurt. If he gets hurt, that candidacy is going to go out the window. But if he keeps playing this way, man, highlight reel, he's probably, the front page, ESPN this morning on SportsCenter with his game, 50+ points. Like, he might force his hand here. But if he doesn't make it this year, Jake, I'm not sure we're ever getting one.
He has to make it undeniable is what you're saying. Yep. And I agree with you. And it's so funny, and like, not like in a funny haha, but like funny and a cruel, of course, this is Nug life. This would happen to the Nuggets. The entire rules of the NBA shift finally when the Nuggets figure it out and assemble a team that's awesome and makes it harder to have a dynasty.
Yep.
The entire rules of the All-Star game shift just as Jamal Murray's ready to be an All-Star.
So it goes. Nug life, baby.
Nug life for life. That is the case. Anyway, I promised everyone we would do a more comprehensive little quarter season wrap up kind of thing. Maybe a third of the season wrap up by the time we're there. We're going to do it next week just because there's fewer games next week with NBA Cup. Between now and then, the Nuggets play Atlanta, Charlotte, and Sacramento on the road, Friday, Sunday, Thursday. And Atlanta's a really good team. And Trae Young has not been playing. And most people have an idea of how Atlanta plays. Without Trae Young, they play completely differently. That's going to be a very fun game tomorrow in terms of contrasting styles, talented players. Jalen Johnson's a very good player in this league. I'm excited to see this game. And Nikola Jokic went off for 50 against Atlanta last year. So who knows how that's going to go. Atlanta's got a much better defense. Then on Sunday, you've got Charlotte, who is a little more formidable this year, but still stinks. And then you've got Sacramento, who you have a chance to win against 3 times for a third time this season on that Thursday coming up. So a little bit of a break in the schedule. They have a real chance now to go 9, 10, 11 straight on the road. We'll see if that happens. And then they get a little stretch at home. But last night was the first of 12 of 17 straight on the road. So if there was ever a time to have a good road stretch in Nuggets history, it's right now.
Yeah, that is an absolutely gauntlet of a schedule. You mentioned with the 12 of 17 coming up there, but they're winning these games on the road. So you got to feel pretty good about their chances to, have a pretty solid road trip or, good performance over the course of those 12 games out of the 17. So we'll see, my man. We'll see. I think the Nuggets are kind of treading water here to a certain extent, down your 2 best defenders in Aaron Gordon and Christian Brown. So it's like you can't expect them to go out there and win every single game. But, they've done a good job. And again, I think Jamal Murray last night calming everybody down. This team isn't going to just, devolve before our eyes due to the injury. So you got to hold it down, hold the fort down, and try to get AG and Christian Brown back as soon as possible.
And Julian Strother.
And
this team is really short.
And Spencer Jones.
And this team, and that's why, because Spencer Jones' injury last night kind of exposed the fact that the deepest position on the team, which is shooting guard, is now a little bit weaker because of all the injuries they've faced there. They're basically down 1, 2, and 3 on the depth chart at shooting guard right now. And I don't know, Tim Hardaway Jr. is obviously up there. He's higher than 2 in the depth chart, but You get the point. Like, they're down guys in the depth chart. And the injury to Spencer Jones, I just really hope it's not significant, because he really was just about to earn a guaranteed NBA contract for at least a season, if not 2. And that's a life-changing amount of money and a life-changing distinction. And I really just feel bad for the kid. And he's been playing his ass off for the Nuggets. So I'm really hopeful that this is nothing and his knee was just tweaked and it's a little sore and he might miss a game or 2 and it's fine. But he made himself, again, we're talking about undeniable. He was an undeniable part of the Nuggets the last couple weeks. And I think his absence will be really felt if he is missing any sort of extended time, because they just need a guy to go out there and hustle and play defense. And he has also found a way to fit in on offense with that 28-point game against Dallas. And he talked about it after the game with just kind of his relationship with Jokic and learning from CB and AG about like where to be, the spots to be. And he's always been a good shooter and yada, yada. So that's become a very valuable part of the Nuggets. And now the fact that they don't have that is disappointing, because we talked about it when CB and AG went down. Maybe this is a benefit to somebody and they get hot and they learn a spot, and this is someone that becomes part of the Nuggets rotation. Well, that guy was Spencer Jones, and now he is hurt. So just tough break for the Nuggets. Hopefully he's fine. But yeah, the Nuggets couldn't lose him. Anyway, he's Anilo Piro. I'm Jake Shapiro. Thank you for tuning in the Mile High Hoops podcast. We will be back Monday. I will get you over the weekend with all you need to know, the latest and greatest about your Denver Nuggets, who still control their own destiny technically in Nilo if they beat the Thunder every time they play. So Nuggets just have to win out to control their destiny, and we're good.
Not that difficult, right?
Not that difficult.
I believe.
The Broncos might do it.
I believe.
We'll see you guys soon.